All right, guys, welcome back to episode 6 of the Mass Appeal podcast. I'm your host, Mark Lewis. As always, guys, I'm joined here today, right? We keep leveling up the guests. We keep getting these unbelievable guests every week on the show. It's either we replace one with another and another and another, and it just stays phenomenal, right? If you guys have seen Oxy-Morons, if you're from Massachusetts, I don't know how you haven't at this point, right? Early 2000s, cult classic. If you've seen Habitual on Netflix, right? Am I missing anything, Hickey?
Habitual's not on Netflix yet, but
It's not Netflix.
Appreciate the
It was, though.
manifesting. No, Oxy was.
Oh, okay. So I got that confused then.
Oxy was on Netflix for 2 years.
Okay, right.
And then Habitual hasn't even hit that spot yet. So it's out on AVOD. Like you can rent it on Amazon, Apple.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I got
right
this
now
confused.
It's sitting with Paramount, Netflix, Shudder.
Yeah.
Magnolia's now launching a streaming platform.
Everybody's got one, huh?
Yeah. So
It's unbelievable.
There's a few offers. So Habitual end up on one of the SVOD sites probably like this summer coming into Halloween.
Got you.
But I don't know which one yet.
Okay.
So that's still in the air.
That's exciting.
But you can rent it on Amazon, Xfinity.
Cool.
Wherever.
Okay, awesome. So it's available all there.
Mm-hmm.
2 feature-length films under the belt at this point in your career, right?
Yeah.
And you've been in filmmaking for, by the way, guys, Johnny Hickey, sorry, the director of Oxy-Morons, writer of Oxy-Morons, and writer-director of Habitual.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
There we go. So, yeah. You're 12 years in now, technically?
Yeah,
If you
I
wanna
guess.
call it that?
Yeah, if you want to, if you count that.
Do you count it from the release date of Oxy-Morons and then forward? Is that how that goes?
No, I mean, so you go from, like, say, Oxy on Netflix till now, it's
Okay.
10 years. It's exactly 10 years.
10 years,
yeah.
right, okay. Got you,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, so, because 2012, it came out on Netflix.
Nice.
So. But if you count, leading up to it.
Right.
But if you, you know what I mean? It's like my whole life, too.
Of course.
Of just, like, having that dream to do this stuff as a kid.
Oh, so you always wanted to be a filmmaker?
Oh, it was my thing, dude.
It was your
Yeah.
thing, right?
So when I grew up in Charlestown, like I grew up in the projects, it was like rough environment, right? So
Mhm.
very unstable, very, just toxic. So a lot of kids played sports. I played sports, but I was never like heavy. Like that's not what I wanted to do.
Mhm. Right.
And the first like horror movie I ever seen was the original Halloween, and then Children of the Corn, and I was just like fascinated with horror movies after that. So I would go, not just for horror movies, but any kind of like action. And I'd go over the Assembly Square Mall every weekend to like escape the nightmare I was living in, and I'd watch movies. I'd like buy a ticket to a movie and then sneak into like 1 or 2 more.
You
Depending
should
on
be able
what
to
was-
do that back in the day.
Yeah, but before you reserve seats.
Yeah, right. Legit, right?
Yeah, back in the Stone Age, right?
Yep,
So,
yeah, please. Jesus Christ.
But so I used to do that, and that was and I just love films, and I'd watch movies and I'd pick them apart.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 13, I was like, I would do this. So I had this interest in like acting, and I acted too. I was in an Orange Julius commercial, and
Get out of here.
Yeah, and I can't even find it anywhere. It's like the one thing that's like got dusted somehow,
Fuck.
but it's there. So you can, but I don't know where it is.
I was going to say it's around
It's like
somewhere.
on my IMDb, but the video's not there.
Okay.
And then I was in the miniseries Common Ground on, I think it was CBS or NBC.
Well, I don't remember that.
Jane Curtin from Saturday Night Live played the mother. It was about forced busing.
Yep.
So I had a little role in that. And
Nice.
so I got into kind of the acting gig there because they would take all the project kids that were extras in the movie.
Mhm.
And so I was a featured extra. So there were extras that were just people like, down here. And then there was me who was in a couple of scenes with the lead actor who played like the son, my age, in the, say with.
Who was that? Did he end up doing anything?
I think it was Jonathan Tucker was actually.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah,
Was it really?
him? No, was it Jonathan Tucker?
He's done really well for himself recently.
No, that kid's that kid.
He's awesome.
That kid crushes it, right?
Yep.
And he's good. He's always been good, but he's like.
Speaking of horror movies, you know the first time I saw Jonathan Tucker, believe it or not? Remember The Ruins?
Dude, I do.
That's another reference. That's the second reference I've thrown at you this week that you picked up on.
He was in Pulse, too. He kills himself at the beginning of Pulse. He's the kid at the very beginning of Pulse.
Really?
Our movie, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And
Okay.
he axes himself right at the beginning.
Wow.
I didn't even know him as a kid. Like, I had kids in the projects that did know him. My buddy Walter Eggleston's actually pretty tight with him, and David Evers both brought him up recently.
Mhm.
But I didn't even know him. That I was in the projects, and that kid lived up by the monument,
Right.
And
So close yet kind of like, I don't want to say so close yet so far away, but like, I know that sounds cliche, but it's
worlds apart.
Right,
worlds
yeah,
apart,
exactly, right.
Typically,
Right.
But I always knew he was from the neighborhood, and then I would see him and stuff, and so I was always impressed by his stuff. and just anyone from the city who's doing anything always gave me the motivation to kind of
Right.
chase what I was doing. But so they would take kids like him, say, that were bigger actors at the time in the lead cast, and they put them in a white van and they bring them to St. Mary's in Charlestown. But it wasn't Jonathan Tucker. It was another kid who looks like him. That was, I think he was a New York actor because he wasn't from Boston.
Okay.
And so he looks just like him. And I don't remember his name. But so he gets in the van with Gene Curtin and all these people, and they ship him off to St. Mary's, and they would bring me and all the project people to St. Catherine's, so 2 different churches. And so I asked the kid one day, I'm like, why do you guys go to St. Mary's? He's like, oh, we go there for craft services. I'm like, what's craft services? I have no idea what craft services is. I've never heard that before in my fucking life from the projects. And I'm like, what the fuck's craft services? And he's like, oh, your food, this, that. I'm like, ice cream, all kinds of shit. I'm like, yo, fuck this. I'm getting in that van with you, and I'm not going back. He's like, why? I'm like, they give us bologna sandwiches, apples, and a little fucking juice drink.
Oh,
and he was like,
God.
what? Right? So that is what it is. Whatever. You know what I mean? That's the way it was back then, you know? And so
now everybody's got the same shit.
now you have to. You got to take care of people in a sense. But you know, bigger actors have trailers and all.
Well, that's different, of course. Right. Yes,
yes,
absolutely.
All that shit. But so I end up sneaking in the van. Like, they do the crew call and they put everybody in the vans, and I just get in and blend in. And I get to the craft services, and there's fucking like chicken salad and ice cream. Just, I never seen a layout like this in my fucking life. There's like, and I'm like, this is what I want to do the rest of my fucking life.
I'm staying here. I ain't going back.
And so that was like genuinely like that want for more, and to have all access to that and that lifestyle right at that moment motivated me, mixed with me already picking apart films and utilizing films to kind of escape that world that I'm in. And then you fast forward to like my adolescence, like 17 through my early 20s, you know, everything I did in life deterred me from thinking I would ever fucking be able to. I can speak freely on here, right? F-bombs and shit.
Say whatever you want. Say anything you want.
Everyone's different.
No, say whatever you want.
But literally, so, you know, I would, you know, I was in jail. I almost died. I mean, me and my brother were just driving through like Quincy coming here, and we're talking to each other, and like, dude, the shit we've been through, and obviously everybody's been through different shit in their life, and it affects everybody differently. But we're literally driving by the Marriott Hotel where he found my dead body. I was like in a coma. I fell 80 feet fighting in the parking lot up there, fist fighting kids from Germantown and Quincy at a random hotel party. The Marriott, there was no fence. Kid hit me in the back of the head with a brick because we were all fighting. Everyone scattered after I went off 5 stories.
I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing.
No, it's fucking bananas, right? So either I'm completely making this up and I'm a really good fucking storyteller, or this really happened. But no, I got a scar that goes from my knee up my ass, from when my hip came out of my leg. I separated my pelvic bone, my bladder exploded, tore my urethra. Was in a coma for 7 days. The cops came. Everyone took off from the hotel party when the cops came. He stayed. My little brother was out there, and made the cops chase him because they were like, you get over here, to my body, where he kept calling my phone. And when he was calling my phone, he could hear it like ringing. He like knew something was up. Like he could see it and hear it like down the Quarry Cliff, like fucking the woods, or like little parking lot or whatever it was. And the cops chased him to my body, and they found me. They airlifted me to Boston Medical Center. And I woke up 7 days later. All those injuries, like literally my balls were as big as your head, dude. Like all my fluids like fell into like that area. Oh my God, really? My pelvic bone severed, tore my dick in half, dude. Like my urethra inside. Really? Yeah, I had to pee in a bag for 4 months, and the doctor said I would probably never be able to like fucking use the waist down again.
Now that's a big comeback story.
Dude, comeback, fucking.
You got a couple of kids since
yeah,
then, so
yeah, and I'm
for show.
And I'm in better physical condition now than I was even back then. Like you know, athletic, just like working out.
It's amazing what the human body can do, man.
Mind over matter.
And
I went cold turkey in the hospital. So that was like my rock bottom was literally fucking rock bottom there, and that's what got me out of being in that deterrence of like never being able to like be a filmmaker.
Rude, sometimes you hit rock bottom mentally. Sometimes you like literally hit it.
Right. So when you wake up in a fucking hospital, even the physical thing's one thing, all those bone injuries, but the looking at yourself like you're a fucking idiot for putting yourself in a position where you're in a hospital being told you never walk again. Mm-hmm. And in my head, I refused to fucking believe that. And I like legitimately like manifested like, I'm going to fucking walk again. I know how to walk again. And I got in a walk and I would drag my fucking busted hip leg across the floor. Jesus Christ. All the way up till I was limping on a cane, Rick, you know, within 3 months. And the doctors were like, what the fuck? And one doctor said, he said, just like muscle has memory, bone has been randomly or whatever, like, you know, known to have memory too in certain situations. So my pelvic bone healed on its own. So they couldn't wire it together because like it would cause like an infection.
Isn't
whatever.
it insane how fragilely the mind can come apart and then how it can like then put itself back together?
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, like everyone's different, right? So
right.
I see people out there struggling with things that, to me, I'm like, dude, pick yourself up. But some people, it's not as easy for them for whatever reason, right? It's just like when you watch like UFC fighters, like Nate Diaz is a dog, and like even though he might not be able to knock everybody out, that kid will go to the end like endlessly. Like he's just got more fight in him. So some people have more mental fight, more physical fight. Everybody, breaks it down different. My mental fight, especially at that time, was like I wanted out of that life. And I realized it at that moment. And my main focus was, all right, teach yourself to walk again, get everything back. You can do this. I don't know how I got into this like mindset, but just you can do this. And I remember like having a dream and the dude's telling me to like, you believe in Jesus, like crazy stuff, dude, just crazy stuff that like for me personally, like the experiences that I went through in that hospital are nothing short of miracles, right? And I get out of that world and then I go from being, crippled on a bracelet too. They put me on a bracelet because they were like wanted to monitor me while I'm crippled. Like
you're the first person ever on hospital arrest.
Literally, like
it's house arrest, and you were the first person ever on hospital arrest.
And from that incident, I went from a crippled criminal to not crippled anymore, like on my toes again, bouncing around. Went back the full time to get my catheter checked. They pulled the tube out of my fucking dick and like literally like, oh, you're good. Like, and that was the last time. So I had to go through three tries where they like checked it and it was like, no, it's not healed. No, it's, sometimes there's no way to fix your urethra when you tear it. They can't go and stitch it up. It's like it either heals on its own or you're fucked.
Right.
And so I go 1, 2, 3 with like, no. So this full time is like a pretty good and I was just in my head like, please, like fucking like, and the guy came tap me and she says, have a good night. And I was like, oh, she's like, have a good night, like have fun, like it was like, you know what I mean, like the doctor said that to me. So I was like, that's bananas. So that heals. And then I cleaned drug court. So I'm in drug court at the time. That's when I was on the bracelet. I get the bracelet knocked off and then they wipe out my drug court because I had maybe like 2 years left in drug court. And the doctors wrote me a note from the hospital. When I woke up in the hospital, I was on morphine and I was having these heinous like nightmares that you see in Oxy-Morons. Those nightmare sequences are a fragment of like what was going on the 30 days I was in Boston Medical Center. What does morphine feel like? So I would wake up, feel the pain, be like, oh shit, like why'd I do this? I can never walk again. I got to figure this out. Like, why am I, you know what I mean? Like, and I hit that button it was a 6 minutes. I think every 6 minutes you could hit it and get it into your arm. And every time I hit that button, I'd go numb and the fact in my mind would go like, when I'm on this shit, I don't care that I'm never going to walk again. But in the moments that can't hit the 6 minute and I'm not high, I care. And I'm like, I don't want to, they're not going to let me leave with this. So I ripped the morphine out of my arm, literally refused Demerol, Dilaudid, and all narcotics the 30 days, minus the 7 days I was in a coma and the 2 days I woke up on the morphine. The rest of, so about 27 days out of the 30 days, I went narcotic free. No painkillers. And I left there with no oxy, nothing, because I had already realized what oxy was, where it led me to at that moment, what it was doing to other people, turn them into heroin addicts, which I refused to be. And the morphine was just going to push me more in that direction. And I said, I'm just going narcotic free and I'm going to do it. And I did that. And I think because I did that, I was able to like really.
You got to feel the full effects of what you're putting.
Yeah, I was able to shift my fucking life around and like be like, all right, if I can do all this, I can make.
You stayed on the morphine, you would have relapsed. Yeah, 100%. Because you would have been like, I always get this.
You'd be chasing that high that you can't get, right? Yes. So every 6 minutes, mind you, you know what I mean? Yeah, so the doctor wrote me a letter and said, if anyone had a reason to be using opiates in this hospital and in this drug court that he's in, it was him, and he refused all narcotics. So I have a letter still from that doctor, awesome. Mike Nerney, I remember his name. And so the judge was like, you know what? And he looked at all the people with the dirty urine, like put me on the spot big time, but whatever. But it was like, you got dirty, what's your excuse? What's your excuse? And he's like, and then he asked me the question about he's like, so you refused all narcotics, you had all those injuries, I was still on a cane at the time. And I was like, yes, and he was like, I think you're done. And he's like, I'm wiping out 2 years drug court for you today. And like wiped it out. So in that moment, I was like, all right, now it's time to like do this. Like,
Yeah, right.
you know, chase your dreams. Like it's not over yet. You can like do all those things still. You
And
can
you were
make
how old at
movies.
this time?
Not, so I'm about 21 at the time, 21, 22.
Nice.
Right around
Okay.
there, yeah. So
Cool.
right around there.
Mhm.
And maybe no, 23-ish, right? 'Cause
What year is this?
So this is leading right up to Oxy-Morons, so 2009-ish, right around
Okay.
there, I think. And so we go right into like, all right, write a movie. So I start learning how to write a movie. I write 10 pages of a screenplay of the idea of Oxy-Morons, and I end up like getting a little role in a movie with Lenny Clark.
Okay.
Lenny Clark, who's in like the new Halloween and famous Boston comedian.
Yeah,
you
of
know,
course.
Lenny gives my
What movie was this, by the way?
Oxy-Morons.
No. You said a little movie with Lenny Clark.
It didn't go nowhere. Some like independent short film they were filming. The director was Frank Trombino. John Fiore from The Sopranos was in it. Frank Santarelli from The Sopranos. Lenny Clark, and I don't remember the name of the movie at all. It was like it was kind of a goofy thing, like honestly, and that dude, like the director, it was like I don't know, it was just different.
Something to do.
Yeah, and I was grateful to like get a little role in it.
Sure.
Shot in a bar in Malden, but I met Lenny there, and I knew Lenny was going to be in it, and I was like, dude, he's connected to people, so I gave him whatever, how many pages it was of like what I had as like a outline. Treatment, yeah. But it wasn't even a treatment. I was like, I'm a project kid who got his GED in jail, like, and just survived like a heinous like rip and run.
This is something I wrote actually.
Yeah, and
it's
so
not really a treatment yet.
But the concept was there of the Oxy, the whole story, like all the stuff that was going on in Charlestown around that time, and I gave it to him. And he gave it to, he's friends with Dennis Leary. He gave it to a guy at Apostle Pictures who was a writer for like Rescue Me and shit.
And that was when Dennis Leary might never have been bigger.
He was huge at the time. So one of his writers was literally teaching me how to like format a screenplay correctly, build the story out, and like how to like merge things and stuff. So I had a good writing coach at that point to get the story there. And I got the story to where it needed to be. And then I started shopping it around through these connections I made, the network. Like, so Frank Santarelli was a comedian. I got a job at the Comedy Connection as a bouncer, making like $12 an hour to make connections. Like Bill Burr is a friend of mine now from that world. Like, so I've made, my older cousin used to work there, and we would go over his house. And we'd see pictures like on his like billboard thing in his room. It was like him and Jamie Foxx, him and Jim Carrey. It was from him working at the Comedy Connection. Wow. And he was friends with a couple of famous comedians at the time because of just that connection, not just being a door guy. So I was like, if I'm anywhere in Boston going to be able to make the connections at that time, now that doesn't exist no more. Like you can't, the Comedy Connection Finial is gone, you know? It's at the Wilbur Theater now. But at that time, it was a network in place for comedians, local. When the local guys would come in, like Joe Rogan, Burr and stuff, they hung out with their other friend comedians. So you could like definitely network with people there. Frank Santarelli was on The Sopranos. I gave him where Oxy was now, where I wrote it as like a 100-page screenplay. He said he was going to get it to Gandolfini. He did. Gandolfini got it, came to Boston, met at the Kowloon. It was on like Kiss 108. Matty and Lonnie had me on the next day because it was such a big deal that Gandolfini was in town at the time. He wanted to take Oxy-Morons, option it for $50,000.
Which means he's basically buying the rights.
Buying the rights to it. I had 15 points on the back end, $50K, which would have been a ton of money for me at that point in time in my life. And just to have Gandolfini like producing my screenplay. But had the rights to change the title, push me to a story by credit, meaning like new writers are coming in, and he wanted to make it about New York City and kids in New York. And I was like, fuck that. And like, all due respect, like, fuck you, no. And so that's why Matty in the morning had me. I was just like, who had Gandolfini in town and said, no, I don't want you to make my movie, you know, like kind of thing. So he like, we separated ways, whatever. But it was a big deal that Gandolfini had taken interest, and the Boston Herald put an article out and Kiss 108 thing. So it got out there where other people were interested in it. Ed Bianchi, who was the director for The Wire, Deadwood, The Brotherhood. Yeah, dude, he wanted it. Same thing though. He wanted to change things and do things. And I just got to a point where it's like, I need to do this myself. You know, I figured out just different things that I need. What do you need to make an indie movie the right way? I need that red camera that everybody's talking about at Sundance and nobody knows about with, you know, it shoots in 4K.
So it's funny you say this. So let's tell us really quick, right? what does it take to get an indie movie made? If you're an you're an aspiring independent film director, you have a script, you have somebody who's, your initial thing was to get it to one guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that one guy showed it to another guy.
Well, there's that way. It's like, if you can build a network, like say you show me something, maybe, you can get to me easily in Boston. So wherever you are, obviously, is like, it doesn't matter, because like when I'm in LA, I have options to meet and network with people just to move me up the, in the system quicker and get in with the Sharks, right? So like wherever you are, and use Boston as an example, you got to find your network, Right. If you're trying to get it bigger than what you can do yourself now, because when I made Oxy-Morons, so much time has gone by, it seems, but it really has, like 10 years isn't that much time to go from like, you couldn't film on your fucking phone to like, you can literally film a movie on your phone if you are just doing some independent. Mm-hmm. You have a really good story and good actors and good, like you just make it look gritty and real. Mm-hmm. The things you can do with your phone and get known on YouTube, it's nuts, right? I was at a point where you had to go all in and you had to make a full feature length fucking movie for the first time with actors, and you have to get these locations that were like next to impossible. Right. Like people would look at my screen, but like, you can't do this movie for $100,000, Johnny. You got a jail in it. You got cop cars. And I'm like, in my head, I'm making a movie about fucking opiates that are killing everybody in this entire fucking state and country, right? But in the state at the time, it was like Massachusetts was getting fucking murdered, getting murked.
It's insane.
I come from that world. I turned my life around, and I want to do something positive and show the collateral damage within a story about it. Like, who's not going to have my back? And that's what I did. Boston Police, the Barnstable County Jail gave me a jail, right. Real DEA agents from Boston's like detective team came in and did the raid scene. Yep. And it's crazy like how many people like do want to be in movies and will do things.
Yeah.
So you can, in different ways, find, equity without even having a big amount of money to get it done. I'd say the worst part for an independent filmmaker and what you really got to plan for and really put most of your budget into and save for is post-production.
Really?
Like if you just want to go from your phone to YouTube, it's one thing, right?
Yep.
But if you want to go from like camera, Adobe Premiere and sound mix and color correction and everything to look dope for Netflix or those spots, right? Unless it's a found footage style film, then your post is where you need to like respect like having a really good editor, a really good colorist, really good sound.
Right.
Visual effects if that's needed.
Stuff people don't really think about.
Yeah, the editing, and my editor, Paul Buell, who edited Oxy-Morons and Habitual, it's as important as me directing the film and whoever's writing it.
Yep.
And the star, like literally, probably even more important than the fucking star.
Yeah,
the star's important for the show, obviously, but
it's all how you. People say that you hear that all the time. Is people that are like, yo, this movie like. They made me look great.
Mm-hmm.
Like the editors and stuff like that. Like the director makes the act. Like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like
if you don't have you could have the best actors, the best story, the best director, and if your edit sucks, it sucks. And that's what. Remember, the edit is what everybody's seeing at the end of the day. It's not what you're visioning in your head necessarily. It's like there's the story you write, the story you shoot, the story you edit, and then I always say there's the story you see whatever screen you.
Yeah, like Nolan edits all his own movies, but that's him.
Who?
Nolan.
All right, yeah.
Christopher Nolan edits all his own movies.
But that's his thing. Is
that's
like you,
him,
but so like for me, it's like I can act. I fail anyways, and people tell me I can act, right? So acting's become probably my biggest passion in the whole thing.
Sure.
I write and direct to act, right? I fell in love with making movies.
Yeah, right.
From acting, and so. I can write, I can direct it, but I can't edit. Like I can sit with an editor, but I cannot edit myself.
Funny, I don't think I could ever direct.
See, I don't have the attention span to sit there and hit buttons and figure out the cut in this and But I can sit there with an editor, especially a good editor like Paul, and be like, all right, let's try this. So I collab great with my editor. You know what I mean? And other editors work too on different stuff. But
so going back to the like you said, the red camera that nobody talks about really.
Now everybody talks about the red. You know what I mean? The red, obviously, and there's like so many versions of there. But when I made Oxy-Morons, there was one camera called the Red One, and it was a dude that sold Oakley to Laudica and had the Oakley lens, and then created this red receptor lens that could shoot in 4K and was like better than film. Was going to be the new takeover, right? Mm-hmm. And there was this divide at the time of like, nothing will ever be better than film. And you know what I mean? Nothing will ever make film obsolete. Film just gives it something. And then sure enough, like nobody uses fucking film anymore, right?
Yeah, right.
So at that time though, but there was the debates and stuff. And what happened was I was trying to get into these events at Sundance, and David Burns, who's in Oxy-Morons, plays my brother. He worked for a big media company. So he got me access on lists to a bunch of different like events at Sundance with people to go and network and mingle. And then I would try to sneak into other parties that were bigger. And I seen this event that was going on, and people had like this red one, you know, laminate on that was like the red thing that said red one on it. And it was getting them into this event. So I snagged one of the laminates from somebody and I used it to get into this event. And by chance learned about the red camera because all the biggest filmmakers at Sundance at that moment in time and producers were at this event to learn about this camera. And I'm like, why is everybody so hyped and interested in this?
Wow, okay.
And so fast forward from that Sundance, like it started getting used in a couple of films, and those films are getting really good attention, and that camera was getting good attention, and money, you know, that was going up. And I was like, I got to get a red. So I found a Chilean DP who had been shooting on red for like a year.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Shot like mountain lions attacking animals in the jungle, whatever the fuck he shot, right, in Chile. And he had like claw marks in his chest and stuff. And he could, you know,
you thought you were pretty hardcore.
Yeah, and so so that's the thing is, so I could have got a red camera, say, and rented it or bought it or would have got the budget for it, whatever, and the lenses for it. But then if you didn't have a DP, you still, to this day, your DP needs to know how to use the camera he's using, no matter what camera it is, right? And so, you know, I was very blessed. I got a director of photography with a Red One camera that was experienced shooting like stuff in National Geographic in the jungle. And he's like, Johnny, how'd you let me shoot
That's
this?
like the highest quality shit too. National Geographic is like,
oh yeah, dude.
it's
Top line stuff. So he's like, you know, how do you want me to shoot this film? And I was like, literally, bro, just like we're shooting shit in the jungle, we're never going to be able to get that shot again because I'm going to be doing things that we don't have the budget to like bring in more makeup effects. It's like one and done. We got to make this look super fucking real. We got to be fast. We got to, and we did it. Like, you know, Oxy-Morons is the product of that. Like,
yeah, of course.
And so all those things, you know what I mean, come into play. And now red camera's the biggest thing. So I shot on red before anybody. I was probably the first Boston film 100% to shoot on red.
Yeah.
Feature film. Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that in my mind. Yeah.
What do you, what was I going to say? So now the whole film process gets, like, now you're trying to get the cast for the film. You're trying to see like who you had. Did you write any parts specifically for any actors? Like pipe dreaming a little bit, even like, I mean, granted you're an indie film, so getting the guy you want for the role, it might not be the guy you end up with, but
so yeah, I mean that definitely happened. Like so with Tim Sylvia, who plays Monster in Oxy-Morons.
It's a really interesting story from what you told me the other night.
Originally, I was in contact with Forrest Griffin.
Okay.
And I wanted Forrest Griffin because he resembled a friend of mine in Charlestown that had this crazy Irish look with these big ears, you know what I mean? Right. And I would see and he would look like, so of course I'd have to work with him on the accent thing, but I was confident and optimistic I could do that. And he was in. He loved the script and he wanted to do it. And so we were going back and forth. I was talking to his manager, Bob Cook, at the time. But then he had a fight coming up with Rampage Jackson. Right. He beats Rampage for the belt. Right. And 2 weeks after he does all that, the manager wants $30,000 a week for him to be in this indie movie that my budget didn't cut for $30,000 a week.
Now he's the champ, and now it's like, what the fuck?
So then I was talking to Tim Sylvia somehow, and he's like, "What's going on with that movie?" I forget how it was like, how we were breaking it down, me and Sylvia, and I just knew guys from when I was living in Vegas with David working there. There's a whole nother story, you know what I mean, for another day, but. So I had worked in Vegas at this point now and had been networking out there and met with a bunch of UFC guys. And so Sylvia was like, yo, I'm from Maine. So he's from New England. I was going to
say, he's a Maine guy, right?
Yeah, he was going to play football, had a football injury, and got hooked on OxyContin, and so screwed up his football career, but then ended up becoming a UFC fighter, right? So I was like, all right, great. So he comes in, does an amazing job. Probably one of the best acting I've ever seen out of an MMA fighter, like as far as like the Coutures and the
Randy Jackson's in the 80s.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah. Rampage Jackson pretty good, but
was
like
pretty good in that movie.
But if you look at like acting wise, like coming in and playing a role that's not you that you have to just become something, like make it work with people that you never even build chemistry with, people you don't even know. Right. He did it. Like you felt like he was one of the townies in that. Right. That's not easy. People come in and try to play the Oscar-winning actors come in and try to play Boston people, and can't do it.
Yeah.
You watch and you're like, if you're from Boston, you're like, fucking shoot me, you know, like really, like park the car, blah, 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 like Red Sox, like, shut the fuck up. And so he did it, dude. Tim Sylvia came in and he did fucking crush it. So it was like a blessing in disguise. Patty Ross, who plays the mother, I wrote that in the back of the Comedy Connection when I was writing Oxy-Morons in a notepad just like this. And Patty's on stage talking. She's like, fucking cigarette, fucking bitch, fucking. You know, like classic Boston mother without, like, legitimate Boston mother. And I'm like, Patty, that's the name of the mom. That's a perfect name. And then she came back, like, to the VIP section where I was, like, writing, like, whatever, like, the corner of the green room is and stuff. And I'm like, Patty, I'm writing this movie about OxyContin in my life and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you're playing the mother in this movie when I make this. And she's like, you make that movie, I'll play the mother. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, we had that love already. And then you fast forward a couple years later and I'm making the movie and casting her in it. And she's coming out of a hip surgery hooked on perks, like on perks. So she's literally on fucking perks in the movie. Not hooked on them, but I mean, she was fucking eating them though, obviously, because she had a legitimate, like, hip surgery.
Wow.
And I mean, she let us, like, lift, like, we did, you know, we had to lift her in the car, all that scene, like, crazy shit. And she did it. And so she had, and not only did she crush the acting, but, like, her acting mixed with, like, literally being on perks at the time, like, gave this whole
kind of a dangerous little cocktail there that creates something very authentic and very perfect stormy, if you want to call it that. But she
came out of that too. Like, she didn't end up an addict or nothing. Like, it was nothing like that. But it was just crazy that it, you know, fast forward to that moment in time from her being on stage at the Comedy Connection, and then the time to cast a movie, and that's all good. So things just fell into place for Oxy in random ways. I mean, did I hustle? Did I manifest a lot of it? Absolutely. But it was very, like, just the puzzle pieces maneuvered together very well, where things just fell into place. So her, Tim Sylvia, I'm trying to think of, like, who I had in mind for, like, names. I think Jonathan Tucker we had down for Weasel at one point.
yeah.
I think we were going to try, because he was skinny at the time, and he'd already been a Pulse, and I think we were looking at him for that.
He did the Ruins in 2008, I believe.
Yeah.
So he had to be just coming out of that while you guys were getting ready to cast.
And I remember seeing Jonathan Tucker in the Ruins at the theater, and I think my brother was with me, actually. And we just went to see it. I didn't even know he was in it. Horror movie, you know. Let's go check it out. And
he was the lead. He was the top.
He was the lead. No, he was the top bill in it. And I remember, I think when I was watching, I was like, oh shit, that kid's in it from Jonathan Tucker. I'm like, no way. Like, I hadn't seen him in anything in a little bit. Black Donnelly's thing had happened, and then I seen him in the Ruins, and then I really liked the Ruins. I thought that it was like for me, it was very simple, one location, and that's what I was focusing on.
That's what Hollywood loves now.
Well, that's
these one location horror films for low budget.
Well, that's what it's all. It comes down to a budget, and I was admiring it because at the time people were telling me I had too many locations in Oxy-Morons, and I was trying to stay, like, fucking super optimistic that I could pull this off. But then I watched the Ruins, and I'm like, they're literally on a beach, into the woods, in the temple, you know, like, and then, like, down the temple, out, and then, like, in the woods again in a car, like nothing. Yeah. And so I was like thinking of other movies to make that, but there was no way to make Oxy-Morons that, right? But I remember, like, this is a perfect one location movie that works. The Purge was another one. Purge 1. That's right. Yeah.
Yep. Well, Paranormal Activity.
Yeah. Well,
that's one location.
Yeah, but that's I don't feel like it works. Like, the Paranormal. I think they suck, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
I loved the first one.
Nah.
Really?
Yeah. Overhyped, bro.
Sheesh.
No, overhyped.
Is that the most overrated movie ever for you?
Blair Witch is another one, dude.
I never watched Blair Witch beginning to end.
They just don't. They don't pay off for me.
You don't think so?
No.
That ending didn't pay off for you?
No. That shit don't pay off for me. Ripping sheets off people, and great concept, and, like, I appreciate the, like.
And I know a guy like you will respect any movie that makes a ton of money for, like, a
not a lot. That, and I do respect, like, the, you know, the making it feel like that house is haunted in some way, shape, or form. Right. You feel that, but it just doesn't pay off for me. It's just not enough there.
So
you'd
say Blair Witch is probably the most overrated for you?
No, not the most overrated. Okay. Let me think. There's been a couple things recently that were just torturous.
Did you now? What's like the most underrated? What's one that you like in the back of your mind? You're like, people don't know enough about this fucking movie, and it's unbelievable.
For a horror movie?
Horror movie, yeah.
I'm gonna say the Habitual, no.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It is though, right?
Check it out.
But plug it. But
it's got to be something that Mike Flanagan did, because I feel like not enough people know about him yet.
No.
Haunting at Hill House.
No, those are good. Don't get me wrong.
Oculus.
Those are good, but I'm thinking more cult.
Okay, something more
like
a little bit.
Yeah, more like something more culty.
A Serbian film's gross.
That's a good one.
You're a sicko. I'm trying to think of what else.
The original,
the Lights Out short film.
Yeah, that's a good one too. But the no one even talks about this film or watches this film. The original Last House on the Left.
Oh, that's fucked.
That thing's fucking ultra fucked and violent.
That movie's fucked.
Pushes the fucking boundaries.
Yeah,
disturbing.
That is disturbing. That movie.
When you're a kid watching that fucking thing, you're like fucking. You wonder why I'm nuts. Like,
yeah.
So that's probably one of the most underrated because everyone's seen the recent one. The recent one does that one. No Justice, of course. It's such a, but you can't find where can you find the original Last House on the Left?
I don't know, but I used to hear about it from like my aunts all the time. They were like, "This movie's insane," and I'm like, "Ooh, Last House on the Left." Like, what the Last Podcast on the Left named themselves after Last House on the Left. They're a true crime podcast, like the biggest true crime pod out there. So there you go. So that makes sense. Shows you the influence that Last House on the Left had, as far as influence on culture and like horror culture and stuff like that. How did you like? Okay, so we talked about the Halloween franchise. Really quick side note here, right?
So I literally sat at the Beverly Hills, some fucking cigar club with a comedian friend of mine, of course, and Malik Akkad, who owns the right. His family had just re-inherited the rights to Halloween. His father was a producer that originally owned them. Then it was like licensed out for years or whatever.
Carpenter and his wife.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And so he finally got it back from I think it was like Lionsgate or whoever had it at the time. I think it was Lionsgate, honestly, for some reason. But he got it back from whoever it was, and he was talking about getting David Gordon Green to direct it, who had, at the time, had just cast me, ironically, this is the weird, moments of my life, in Stronger with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, right.
So I was cast in that. I had a big scene with Lenny Clark is in the movie, right? Where he's Lenny's running down the hallway crying. I'm the security guy downstairs that the girl comes into. I have dialogue with the lead actress, and that whole part of the movie, mostly except for a shot of me standing at the desk, got cut. Right,
I like the worst feeling ever.
Yeah, that movie, got cut bad anyways, and they cut the scene with Lenny crying in the hallway. But I'm still in the credits. I'm 19. It's my lucky number 2. I'm in the credits. Number 19 in the credits. It's kind of cool. Yeah,
it's kind of cool. Yeah,
but.
And you got paid.
And I got paid, and I still get paid. I still have residuals from that. Right. Not crazy, but you know what I mean. But it's and it's a good moment. It's a studio film, amazing actors, obviously. I met John Barenthal, built a little bit of a relationship with him from the screening. He was there. He wasn't in the movie, but he was the dude who plays the Punisher.
Yeah.
And now me and him go back on IG. He's got a podcast that I might be doing in the near future. So I was hitting him up, and so I met him there, random people. So it was worth it just in that aspect. And then I was sitting with the EP of the guy who produced these 2 new Halloween movies, who was asking me about David Gordon Green at the time, and I was like, "Dude, he's amazing." So he had a team that.
You had a good experience with David Gordon Green.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not. He didn't do anything. You know what I mean? My scene just got cut. What it is? What it is?
You understand
dude,
from
whatever, dude.
Right?
I do it to people, and they're like. People who don't understand think you don't like them. It's making it super fucking awkward. They see you at an event, they're like, and it's like, bro,
this guy cut me, right?
No, maybe it was me, maybe
it's like a head coach cutting you from a sports team or something like that, and
some people get it, but some people definitely fucking don't.
Right. Now, how did you like the Rob Zombie movies?
Yeah, I like them.
So you like because you like the psychological aspect.
I like the psychological. So there's things I don't like about the Rob Zombie ones, Sherry Moon Zombie, being in them, and just being on a horse and just weird things like that. Her as the mother in the first one, she did really good. The whole mother thing, playing the mother of Michael Myers, I thought she crushed it. But there's weird scenes with her on the horse. I'm just it's fairy. I don't fucking know.
Sometimes it feels like he puts her in these positions because he wants to see his wife.
It's some weird fucking shit that we don't connect with. Yeah,
right, exactly.
It's fuck you, bro. You're making a movie for us, not for your library. But
exactly.
But whatever. But the way that Rob Zombie casts the kid, the girls, bringing Danielle Harrison, that was if you were a Halloween fan, which he must have been, remembered her and loved. Those are the 2 of your favorite Halloween movies, 4 and 5. Or 5 and 6.
Okay.
4 and 5. 4 and 5. 4 and 5. Yeah, it's 4 and 5.
Yeah, right.
It's 4 and 5.
6 one's the Paul Rudd one.
Tommy, he plays Tommy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, her friend.
His first movie.
No, I didn't know it was his first movie.
I'm almost positive that was his first movie.
But if it was, Kevin Bacon's first movie, Friday the 13th, Jennifer Aniston's first movie, Leprechaun.
Right, that's right. Well, hold on. Because what's his face? Who did we just say? Paul Rudd. He did Clueless right after that.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of big actors first leading roles was in
Johnny
horror.
Depp, Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's the other one, Johnny
Yup.
Depp, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yep, that's right. Yeah,
I'm good friends with his co-star in that, Jesus Garcia, the other kid who gets I forget his name in Nightmare on Elm Street, but the one with the jean jacket that gets killed in the jail because he gets blamed for killing the girl.
Yes, right.
So he's like the other guy. There's Johnny Depp, who you remember because he's fucking huge, and then there's Jesus, who you're like, oh yeah, that guy.
That guy, right, and the other guy.
He was also the cop in Candyman 3, like fucking random horror. But he's in that horror world. But we met at a film festival. He's one of the best guys I fucking know out there. He's
but the horror fans, dude, they remember everybody.
No, yeah. So that's the thing is that certain movies I have a good memory of film, obviously, but like horror movies, like I remember things and they stick out like the Paul. Like I remember all that, and but so I love Rob Zombie's like kill scenes. His like the violence is fucking brutal in them, but the stories into the second one is just a little. It loses itself a bit. It sounded
like to me like he started off and just like you said, it just kind of fell apart for him story wise going into the end, like how he ended the last half of the second one.
Yeah.
How did you like David Gordon Green? I loved the first one that he did. The first new Halloween.
So the first new Halloween was very good. It was a whole different style. I liked him escaping from the mental institution. I love the shots in the mental institution with the weird checkered ground.
I agree with that.
The kills were good, they were definitely fucking good, and it moved somewhere. And the Jamie Lee Curtis thing wasn't overplayed. You know what I mean?
I agree with you 100%.
The whole trap door thing, all that shit, like fucking money, dude, honestly, right?
Yeah, I liked where he was going with it 100%.
So I love that one. And I love David, dude, don't get me wrong. Like, I love him as a director. Like, he did Sitta, which is like one of my favorite fucking comedies with Jonah Hill. He's
That's
really...
Right, he did do the Sitta. Did he do Get Him to the Greek as well?
He may... I don't even know if he did Get Him to the... He did... Another big one like that. I don't think it's Get Him to the Greek. No, it's not Get Him to the Greek.
Jay, fine. Can we get a look? Can we get a check on that IMDb?
I say no.
I'm going yeah. I think it was Get Him to the Greek. To be honest,
he directed the Sitta, Vice Principals.
Just David Gordon Green, spelled traditionally. I'm really interested to know. I'm almost positive it was Get Him to the Greek was the other one he did.
You could be right, but I think no. I think I should know that.
Oh, did he do Your Highness?
Yes, he did Your Highness.
Yep. Oh, then I might be wrong. Unless he did.
I don't think he did Get Him to the Greek. I'm pretty sure he didn't.
You're right.
No, I'm not. I'm not seeing any.
Who directed Get Him to the Greek?
Well, hold on. We'll go through his filmography then.
No, don't make him go the whole fucking library. Just Google.
No, he clicks the IMDb page. Hit all filmography. You just scroll down.
He's done a bunch of films though.
There's a lot here. Most recently, he's got Halloween Ends. I'm not seeing like a ginormous one like Get Him to the Greek.
No, the Sitta's on there and Vice Principals, Your Highness.
Vice Principals. I heard.
God, maybe he did like God Is Something.
Not God Is Dead. That weird fucking Melissa Joan Hart, Kevin Sorbo movie. He did that?
Did he do the first one?
No,
maybe. He's something like that title.
Get Him to the Greek, written, produced, and directed by Nicholas Stoller.
Fucking shut up.
The way the bump set spiked me, Jay, fine. Maybe the guy was right. See what he just did right there and just completely kicked me in the nuts on that one. We got to figure out what else David. You know what? Oh no, did he do Pineapple Express?
Yes, he did. That's the big one.
Then. So yeah, he's got a great filmography.
So yeah, but comedies, right?
Right.
In good comedy, some of the best comedies in that generation.
Oh, absolutely, 100%, 1,000%.
And then sometimes, and then he did Stronger, which was like a good drama, but it fell short for whatever reason, right? Yep. Not to say he should only do comedy; he should do whatever you're passionate about, but. Sometimes it just, sometimes the storytelling doesn't transfer over, and I don't know why. And again, like all due respect, and if he never casted me in a movie, I was never gonna. Anyways, I keep it fucking 100. Second one blows, sucks.
Thank you.
It's like getting hit. It's like getting hit in the.
Fucking
it's like,
thank you.
It's literally. I don't give a fuck. It's like getting hit in the head with a bag of dicks. It's like. So.
What is the point of the movie? What's the fucking point of the movie? Can you tell me why did they need this movie?
the hospital scenes with them like chasing him and chanting like
Evil dies tonight.
Evil
thing was
dies
the worst
tonight.
thing I've
I'm
ever heard in
like,
my
what
life.
the fuck?
I go, what are they? This first one was
And then
so
Jamie Lee
good.
Curtis is in the hospital room the whole entire
movie.
time. You know what I mean?
Did I not just say this last week with Wiggy?
did.
And then
I
she
said-
blasts like a steroid needle of I think it's like methadone or something, like random, like it's like something that you wouldn't even shoot. I remember like looking at it, I'm like, what is that like supposed to be?
Then she goes to fight that
but
one
that's
doctor
gonna make her like tough,
Yeah, then she goes to fight the one doctor, and she falls on the floor. She can't even get up or whatever the fuck. And then the other thing is, all the interesting people in the franchise now are fucking dead.
Yeah.
Besides her, the doctor, and the cop. That's it. Everyone else is dead.
And I didn't love the flashback timeline, like trying to make it look like it's a fucking 70s film.
You didn't like that?
No,
I
it
thought
didn't
it was
work.
okay.
It didn't
I thought
work.
it
It
was
looked like
alright.
claymation to me. It
You
felt
think so?
just felt because you can't go from that to like what you're watching now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I know what you mean.
Just like it's like showing that it's film
Well, it's
within
funny
the
because-
film.
Yeah, that's
Right?
No, that's a good point.
It's
Yeah.
like it breaks from like any reality
No, it
of
is a good
like
point.
thinking it's like really happening.
And here's the other thing is, I say it all the time, like the coolest part about Michael Myers was that he was a real guy. Like a human being that was just capable of these like really like extraordinary, not extraordinary in a complimentary term, obviously these extraordinary like acts of violence and like found a way to like always avoid people and shit like that. But he wasn't like a fucking.
I don't mind that he's invincible because eventually you got to fucking shoot him and he's got to either not die or be dead, right? So I don't. I've always felt like that vibe, like he was like evil, like that, like devil, like so evil that he can't die, kind of thing. So that doesn't murder me as much as like just obviously like this thing's too like his hands cut off in the end of the first one, and now he's still like doing. And the fact that they turned Michael Myers into a fucking Bruce Lee, fucking Jet
Now he's
Li,
the Terminator.
Dude, that
Well, what
end
is this
scene,
now?
where he's like, whoosh,
Oh, give me a
and
fucking
I'm like,
break with that. I'm like, this is now
I'm
the
like,
stupidest thing I've ever seen.
how can you ever do this? Yeah, how could you do this to him? Like,
Meanwhile, you just got shot 4
no,
times.
and then
Somebody hit
so
you in the head
then
with a fucking bat.
So then you compare that to like Rob Zombie's Michael Myers, where he jacks that dude in the bathroom for his clothes. The black truck driver dude is like, I'm Big Jane, whatever the fuck he says, and he goes in and he just fucking like bare hand murders him in there, like and that's a big, and you feel like, oh shit, Michael Myers is.
And he did the same thing to the fucking doctor in the first one, in the new first one. Remember he bashed the guy's
stepping on their heads and their heads exploding like a can of crushed tomatoes too is just like, come on, man.
Yeah, like what are we doing here?
But some of the kills in the second one were fucking vicious, brutal kills. When he comes out with the axe and like fucks the firefighters up, I can deal with that.
That
good.
was right when I saw that
fucked you up.
Yep. We're
See,
going
I accepted it there because he had the axe and he was just. But then there's a scene where I'm like, you know me, I'm picking up problems. He comes out of right off the rip. He comes out of the fucking house with the axe in 2 hands like this, and I look and I'm like, motherfucker's got double kung fu grip on an axe, and he's got no hand from part 1. His fingers got chopped off.
Right.
Why does he have fingers now?
Right.
I'm like, this
and
is
you're standing there like Swayze and Roadhouse.
You're getting however many millions of dollars to make that movie, like continuity of like, catching like, we have to make sure there's no fucking fingers here. You know, we can't. Right. You got like little things like that.
I didn't mind him surviving the basement fire.
No,
that was
and
fine.
The fact that the hospital looked like COVID-19 pandemic, like why did the local town hospital house 10,000 people in one night? You know, like literally 10,000 people. That's
did you see what they're doing with this? It now takes place during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Awesome, because they're going to go.
Because
they're going that political route.
Yeah, because that's what people.
I'm not about that. I'm not about that.
I'm really worried for how this third movie is going to go because the first one was great, was really good. I really liked it. The second one was the worst movie I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, if you start utilizing like those current events that are really fucking, there's really a divide.
Shit that people don't want to remember.
It's not even that, like, because it's like always remember, so you don't do the stupid shit that you did that time. But yeah, no, but you don't want to remember. You want to, at this point, it's been so much for us as a society. And
do you need it in a film?
No, you don't need it maybe in a film about it, but not in fucking Halloween.
Right.
Not in The Goonies,
right?
Not in fucking Daredevil,
Spider-Man,
not
whatever
it is. No, keep it to like the reality of that world. It doesn't. You have to go, down any political route and stay because you cause the divide more, and then you also lose audience because you're segregating yourself from people that do or don't believe in that are literally shouldn't matter what group of people they fall in. They're going to watch a fucking movie and enjoy a movie. You know what I mean? Like, so forcing those things into something like that, I'm not gonna love and probably support. But
and here's the other thing: is where do they end this now? The Halloween franchise, this Halloween franchise, are they building it to where Jamie Lee Curtis is the kryptonite here? And she's the only one that's going to be able to kill this guy, or are they both going to end up dead, which is even still kind of stupid.
No, and that's the thing too. Like, I'm all for like badass bitches like kicking ass in a movie and shit, and no different than a guy. And it's just I do the same thing with guy actors, and it's like I'm not picking apart Jamie Lee Curtis. She does good in the first one, especially, but like
she was great in the first one.
But they just did in that Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That they pushed the whole like kind of like vibe of like the politics and stuff in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the new one on Netflix. Did you see it?
I heard it was actually pretty good.
And the woman who was in the original one comes back to kill him.
Right.
Like homegirl's like 99 years old and
right,
he's bad. She's like the rock star of the thing, and I get it, but like at the same time, it like. You're taking away from like the massive killer who is like icing people and is brutal. It doesn't matter who you are, what color you are, what sex, anything. He is he's a killer. He sees. That's
why I didn't make
he sees red, And so when you start doing that stuff and just like to like favor one side or do anything like that, you making things unrealistic, and you got like a 90-year-old woman beating his ass and like always and then pulling out the gun with the one-liners.
Yeah,
I don't want Schwarzenegger doing that. I don't want her doing that. I want horror, and I want characters that are like random and believable.
Right.
And eventually like someone has to get fucking killed, right?
I did like the remake that they did in 2003 with Jessica Biel and Eric Balfour.
I did like that one. Jessica Biel was bad in that.
That was good.
She was bad in that.
Yep.
That was a good one. Some of the remakes you can do when they come, and some of the stuff works like that. Like certain stuff does work, you know what I mean? But you can't force stuff. If you force shit, it doesn't work no matter what it is. You can't force.
Hollywood's obsessed with this remake and everything now. That's like it's insane. The lack of original ideas out there. A24 is really one of the only studios out there consistently putting.
I got to see that movie X. That's out.
I heard it was good.
I heard it was good too. I heard mixed things, but I want to see it. I
heard it was pretty good. It's like I heard it plays like an old school slasher, which you'll love.
Yeah.
So that'll be solid. What's the best horror movie you've seen in recent memory? Where you were like, wow, this is some really serious shit. Like this is awesome.
Habitual. Again.
Yeah. There we go.
Plug it.
Quick plug. 100%.
In like what the last?
Just recent, where you were like, this is dynamite. Like this was really fucking good.
Maybe Hereditary.
Nice pick.
Hereditary was pretty
nice.
good.
Did you see Midsommar?
Kept me off guard. Yeah, I didn't like Midsommar though.
See, I've never seen a movie more divided than Midsommar.
Yeah.
Never seen a movie more divided than
Midsommar. What's the other one I got? My daughter showed it to me. I got so surprised by it, but I really liked it. The Visit. M. Night Shyamalan.
You like The Visit?
Yeah, with the grandparents.
Another divided movie.
I love that twist at the end.
Yeah.
I love the twist at the end. The old lady running around the house naked, like
dude, she was fucking weird.
She made me like cringe. She was so good, and the shit that she did in that, like running by, like, and just like look at her facial expressions. And when
she was fucked.
That lady fucking murdered that role.
She did,
and the kids just were. Everybody in that was believable to me. It felt like a found footage film. I knew the kid was like kind of an actor because I knew his face and like you know what I mean, obviously, but. I thought it was good. I did like. You got to watch that. You got to consider that one again.
Visit?
Yeah.
Did you watch Old?
I didn't like Old. Old was horrible. Dude.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, you liked Old?
I didn't see. I haven't seen. I'm
garbage, bro. Garbage.
I look at the stuff that's like. I always look at stuff that people talk about, whether it's good or it's not.
I'll bet whatever right now, as long as you keep your honesty, that. You won't like Old.
Really?
Yeah, just knowing what I know of you and like you'll agree with me on this.
Heard the ending is a little
ending's
bit weird.
Stupid.
Really?
And the whole thing is the whole thing's stupid, honestly.
Did you like Us?
Parts of it I did like. I didn't love the whole underground concept where like all of a sudden like 100 million people come out from underground that have been surviving under the whole
yeah, it's like okay, all right. You know what I didn't like?
But I did love the like when they like stalking them in the house. Kind of stuff, in the wardrobes and stuff.
Lupita Nyong'o should have been nominated. She was phenomenal. You know what movie I didn't like as far as like cult classics? That not even a cult classic, just like smash hit horror. Cabin in the Woods.
You didn't like?
Wasn't a fan.
Cabin. Is that the one with they're in a like digital like underground space base?
Yep, that's the one.
And
That's the one.
It had potential. If you went to Cabin in the Woods and there was really like something in the woods, no matter what, pick one monster or one killer, stalking them and doing it. Awesome, good cast, everything leading up to that. But the whole I remember when they're like driving down the road and it's like whatever it does, and then they're in there and there's like an alien and there's like a sea monster and there's
dragon, a vampire thing.
I'm like, did somebody like pick up the movie halfway through and rewrite stuff? That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
Didn't like that at all.
I completely agree with you. It's like a 93 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Love the Evil Deads, bro.
The new ones?
No, the new one and the old ones, dude. The original.
Fucking weird.
It was weird, but it worked. It definitely worked. The girl going up to detox in the cabin.
How'd you like Drag Me to Hell?
That's all right. There's had good jump scares in it. That one's known for its jump scares. Actually, that has.
Raimi's doing. He's doing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now he's back doing.
I know.
I love Sam Raimi.
His stuff is
phenomenal.
It's good. Yeah, he's a good one to look at.
Jay Fine, do you have a favorite horror movie?
Oof. What was that one? I used to love that one when I was younger. Was it the Strangers? Was it the one? The
Strangers was awesome.
The
potato sack mask thing.
The potato sack.
Yeah,
loved the Strangers.
That was a good one.
Steven Tyler's daughter's in that, right?
That's right. With Scott Speedman.
Scott Speedman's in that. Oh yeah, he is in that. That's right.
I also think The Conjuring was a good series.
How'd you feel about The Conjuring?
I like those, James Wan or whoever's directing them.
I think James Wan is a phenomenally visually assembling director.
Like if you like all the first ones of the Insidious, the Conjuring, even the
Sinister,
the Sinister, both the Sinisters were good actually. I thought.
Real, I heard the second one kind of stunk.
No, it was good.
Really,
it could have been better, of course, but it was
Scott Derrickson got Doctor Strange from that movie.
He did I mean, one of the kills, like one of the way that they killed the people, the kids kill the people. One of the ways that they killed, I can spoil it if you want me to.
I don't give a fuck.
They put rats on the stomach of the people.
It's like an Iron Maiden type thing.
And put the pot over it and then light it on fire and the rats eat through them. I thought that was I never seen that in a horror film. I've seen every horror film. I've never seen that. And I was oh, that was good,
Yeah, wow.
So that sold it right there just for that moment.
You were like I'm in. And Hereditary was
Hereditary caught me off guard. I didn't know it was going to go into that kind of like possession mode. It was a small, brief.
What did you think it was going to do?
I wasn't sure. I felt the cult vibe.
You pick up on all the little shit in the beginning with the necklace on the ground.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All that shit. But the mother, like, you didn't know if she was crazy. But like when she goes full blown, like crawling on the ceiling,
that shit was fucked. Yep, that was weird.
You know. And the abruptness of like the girl sticking her head out the window, and just getting fucking the head taken off, and the kid like getting, it was just so dark and like it moved very well. The only part I didn't love about it, and I don't know, the 99% of the movie's so good, but when you get to the tree house with all the naked old men stuff and he did that in Midsommar too, like I'm just like, come on, man. A little bit. Yeah, just like I don't need to see naked people chanting. Like I don't know, like
adds to the culty vibe though. I kind of get it.
I do get it, but it was just kind of like I don't know. It was just like it took away like the super dark part. It just made it kind of flaky to me. You know what I mean? So? Yeah, for me it did. Yeah, I don't know. I was like, why this?
I completely I've heard amazing things about Hereditary. Midsommar.
You haven't seen Hereditary?
No, I've seen I'm saying I meant from what I've seen like on like reading shit about it. I meant and then Midsommar is like the most divisive movie I think in recent memory. People are either love it or
that was a disappointment for me, man.
You think so?
Yeah.
Were you expecting Hereditary though? Like something like Hereditary?
I was expecting more of like a story of like violence and like more horror. There was some good like trippy stuff in it, and
I can't wait to see his next movie, whatever he does next.
The movie opened up really dark, but then just went. I don't know. It just just didn't do it for me.
How'd you like The Lighthouse? I just watched it a couple months ago. Loved it.
It's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a certain vibe, I guess, is the way. You got to be into that.
It's only two people on the screen.
That's what I'm saying. It's
in one place.
For a filmmaker, it's like
it's a filmmaker's film.
Yeah, exactly. It's
right.
Short acting, black and white.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So that stuff like it, but it's definitely not for everybody.
Right.
I don't think by any means. Yeah.
Right now, what do you plan on? As we go into the last half hour, we got here we go, 15 minutes. What do you plan to do next? Like, what is your next move here? So you got Habitual, you're figuring out the distribution with right now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do next? What's next for Johnny Hickey?
So I got another psychological horror film that I have like done. You know what I mean? And we're like in the pre-production phase of that. But I have a crime drama that I'm working on that, like, if I had my way with this, I would push it ahead of everything.
I can't wait to see you do crime again, kind of.
I need to, because I love horror and I'm going to do more horror films and I'm in that horror world now. But I'm looking at the crime stuff and it needs something. Like, right? We need something to watch that's, you know, I'd like to do a series, like a short series, short form. Like, so I'm doing these YouTube videos and with these like famous TikTok kids and stuff, and it's like, but it's PG level content, right? But it's fun and it's quick and there's a story and people follow.
But you can't sink your teeth into that fully.
No, I mean, I wouldn't watch it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's literally for kids, right? But I get it and I get the style, and so it's really easy to shoot, and you don't have to worry about a lot of the stuff that you have to. And so just having, again, like really good acting and a story to follow. 10 minutes in, you're hooked. Next episode, something crazy fucking happens, you're hooked. And you just got to bust out 10-minute segments, right? And so you just build the ultimate short form fucking crime drama that's out there that everybody is talking about, and everybody's like, yo, did you see this? And so I feel we need that, you know? Like, you watch Ozark, which is amazing. Like, I love Ozark on Netflix.
I got 4 episodes of Ozark, and I couldn't.
It's a good show.
Yeah. The characters are not great.
With it. I don't know what it was.
You gotta stick with it. If you stick with it, it gets good, and you get attached to the characters, and the story flow is just amazing. And it goes all different directions, but it's like, holy shit, what's next? But there are massive amount of people that binge that. So we need something like that, but even more street, edgy. Contemporary, concurrent, real, right?
Do you think the best crime? What is the best crime show of all time in your opinion? As we close this out, is it The Sopranos? Is it The Wire?
Oh man, you're killing me. I love The Wire, but I don't know about the best.
I'm just saying, like in terms of how you want to like what your goal is, like your
to envision it, like
like what your
Gomorrah.
stick is.
Did you see the original Gomorrah?
No, the original one. No.
Yeah, like the Italy, like
and everything's in Naples, right?
Yeah,
the mob
that
in Naples
style is to be that. Or City of God.
Okay, there we go. Bingo.
Like stylistically, like that.
There
like
we go.
That
that's what
gritty,
real.
Picture like found footage, like a Paranormal Activity, Blair Witch that you like, right? You like those. I appreciate the found footage concept, and I do like that. Those just don't pay off for me as a horror fan, right? But the concept's good and it works. No one's really applied that concept to a crime drama. Where like Oxy-Morons, the people love it, I think, is because there's moments of Oxy-Morons, even though it's a feature film and shot but it's shot so realistic, and those moments feel so that you're connected to it and it feels organic, right? So if you have a crime series like that, and you feel like it's like really happening, it's not this actor, that actor that you might know. You might see cameos and stuff within there eventually, but it just kicks off with people that you're just getting introduced to that are like making you feel like that's it.
That's why I think people love The Wire so much, because you were like, this is like as authentic as it gets.
It is.
Like this is how it really is out there. This is fucking awesome.
I love The Wire, and it probably is the best. But I wouldn't shoot it like I would storytell it maybe like The Wire,
right?
Yeah.
Like, so and that's why
So non-story,
like drugs. One season, the other shit, money laundering, whatever the fuck. It's all every season of The Wire has like a different
attack some major criminal activity. Yeah.
So that's why I figured the Wire might have.
But they all tie together. You know what I mean? So I would never keep them that far apart, because I would go right for the juggler, and anyone who's involved in drugs get it. Anyone who's involved with been experienced the gang life gets it. Anyone who sex trafficking, you just write up the line of like horrifying things that are going on, right? Of course. And tie all that in, and just having having characters that you like are connected to too. Like you give a fuck what this girl or that guy is doing,
Right. Absolutely.
That's where it needs to be. That's what I'd like.
That's
to
your
do.
measuring stick right there.
And I think I'm gonna do something with that this year myself. But I do have a crime drama script too that I don't want to talk about too much, because I just like. Sometimes you got to keep shit close to your chest.
You do, yeah.
But it's good. The concept's good. It hasn't been done, and people would fucking dig it.
So it's an original piece.
Yeah. Original piece, and it's just dope. It's just dope. strong character, crazy situation that like very well is happening or could happen.
Feasible,
yeah, and you're just like, oh shit, never thought of that, right? So that, but it's just a bigger budget kind of project. You know what I mean? That one, it needs to be done a certain way, the way I envision it.
For sure. Now, the closing point I want to have is something that me and you talked about, right? We talked about how like Oxy-Morons was about the opioid epidemic here in Massachusetts and really across the whole country, right? How do you define sobriety to people? Like because do you think it's different to each person? We talked about this the other night.
Yeah.
But like, how did the way you verbalized it to me, I thought was really like a refreshing take.
So this is my view on it, and whatever works for people, I always say, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Not people in recovery, and it's a serious thing. And like, if meetings and AA and NA and that stuff is working for people, good. You know what I mean? And I support that 100%. But is that the only way? No. And I don't like being told that's the only way, which is why I stepped out, did it my own way. And like I said it earlier, like that whole like, you know, the UFC fight, like some people have more fight in them. So it's a mental thing completely. And if you accept the fact that they're telling you have a disease, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that there's not like chemistry in the brain that's changed in science and stuff after you do drugs. That happens after you smoke a cigarette. That happens after you drink coffee. That happens after you smell paint. That you fucking walk by that your father painted and didn't open the windows. Shit, you know what I mean? That, no, but you get fed this thing that it's a disease, and so you accept that like this weakness, like you're never going to get better, and you have to do this, this, and this, or all the wheels are going to come off, and you're done. And some people have convinced with that so much and manifested that so much within their heads that they believe that, and the second they go out and smoke a joint or have a beer, which at one point in some people's lives, and again, there are different people that are affected different ways, right? But there are people that used to be able to drink a beer at a cookout or a party or whatever, smoke weed, and then they went on with their life. Like they never consumed them, but then they ended up on opiates, and the opiates did consume and ruin them. I don't think that because you did opiates or whatever it was, that you can't go back to that same person you used to be that was able to have a couple of beers. Because that's who I was. I was never, did I do drugs and get crazy with them? Absolutely. Was I like hooked on pills and fucking, you know, kicking benzos at one point and thought I was going to die? Yeah. Like that's worse than a dope kicking like Xanny bar habit of a day.
That's
like,
what every young kid is nowadays.
Yeah, well, it's not even real Xannies. There are so many press Xannies out there with fentanyl in them, and it's horrible. But if you take people and you put them in that bubble over there, eventually a lot of them are going to break out. You know what I mean? They're not going to be able to grasp that. So the ones that can grasp it, good, power to them. But like for me, I still smoke weed. Like I'm open about it. You know what I mean? It's helped me. If anything, I smoke sativa before I write, and my creative fucking assets in my mind are just like on full gas mode, right? And I can have a drink. I don't even like to drink just because I'm into like working out and trying to like take care of myself, and just booze is just like unhealthy, right, for you. Yeah, but I every once in a while like to have a beer with a burger, or the summer, you know what I mean? In the summertime, I have a couple drinks somewhere on a beach, and then I can shut it down, you know? Right. So for me, it's individual, and it's really in your mind. It's just like, they told me I never walk again. If I just accepted that, then, you know, I never walk
still
again.
Be fucking in a wheelchair or something. Right. Yeah, exactly.
So I think like, if you accept that, but if you don't accept that, if you're like, fuck that, you know, if I want to smoke a joint and like watch a movie, it shouldn't be the end of the world for you, you know? Right. So that's my sobriety is like not abusing drugs and not, you know, you go to these meetings and they're telling you can't do this. It's like segregated to like their rules, but then everyone's smoking Marlboro Light 1000s like a fucking champ, and banging down fucking, you know, Maxwell House coffee, right? On, you know, like what's the difference?
Loaded
really
with nicotine and
so
caffeine,
is it
right?
Yeah, so the whole concept to me, I'm just like the way I'm sitting there and just how my works and looking, I'm like, this is a fucking pyramid scheme. This is for you know what I mean? It makes no sense. Is he completely abstinent from things and like totally like pure vegan, like whatever, right? While you're drinking coffee, smoking, you're no better than somebody.
You've just channeled it to
and
something else.
You're cleaner than somebody who's smoking weed and you know, having a drink once in a while.
Something else. That's all it is.
That's the way I look at it. You know?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So that whole world becomes very cult-like. So it's hard for me because I like to show the damage of drug use in my movies because I experienced that in my life, in my world, and it's affected people, my family, and everything. So I like to show that, but is also like this like divide of like what, you know, like where you're at in recovery with recovery people and stuff like that, you know. So
and it's just interesting to get your take on that, honestly, like because it
becomes cult-like environments. I've seen it. I've seen people that look like in that world look like they're like cult leaders almost in a weird way. You know, they're not standing around naked in a treehouse as far as I know, but
right, waiting to get some fucking pagan demon to possess a new fucking host or something like that.
But there's some culty shit. So I think it's like you as a person, individual. It's like how strong are you inside? How much do you want what you want? Mm-hmm. You know,
I've said it all the time. Any addict, somebody who like myself who also struggle with a different type of addiction, any addict will clean up when they truly want to. When your brain fully decides this is what I want, and this is what I want to do, and this is I'm done doing this other shit. When you hate, when you that moment can happen for people when they either want to hit rock bottom, like full blown rock bottom, and it happens differently for different people, or when you hate the feeling after the high more than you like actually getting high, so to speak.
Yeah,
when you hate the after effect more than you like the actual high.
I just getting high or like an addiction in general. It's like you're tapping out, right? Especially with drugs, it's like you're just tapping out because you don't the things, the world and the world around us like makes you think that you can never do the things you want to do. You know,
right?
So you really have to. For me, and the reason I'm in a good space mentally and stuff. One, obviously, however I'm built and who I am, but also just I'm doing things I love. I'm like filling up so much of my time and existence with the things I want to do and not the things I don't want to do, you know? And so eventually like drugs don't even like, they're not even like there's no question. Like I'm not going to become a drug addict. You know what I mean? Like it's just not there.
There's nothing there for you.
No, it's like, you know, I'm never becoming an alcoholic. I know I just don't even like drinking that much. Right. So, like I have like 2 drinks and I'm like, fuck this. I'm done. You know what I mean? I'm never drinking again. And I'm in the gym for like an extra 2 hours the next day. Like losing, like I'm thinking like the beer like ruined me. And
right.
Mentally, it's just a mental thing, right?
Yep.
So, but some people get stuck in that world. And it's like you're only as good as what you surround yourself with, right? They say. So like if you hang around with like 5 addicts or like people in recovery, that's what you're gonna be. You're consistently gonna be in that circle, in that world. If you're hanging with, you know, drug addicts, you're gonna be a drug addict typically. You know what I mean? You're in the barber shop. You're gonna get a haircut, that whole concept, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you surround yourself with? Like, always try to connect yourself and surround yourself with people that are doing the things you want to do and you want to progress to. You know what I mean? And you'll become part of that. So
absolutely. And guys, with that, that's gonna wrap episode 6 of the Mass Appeal podcast. John, heck, I've had a great time.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Awesome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. You know,
I'm very happy to see what you do next. I'm excited to hopefully.
Yeah, there's some stuff. Yeah, there's some. No, we're gonna do some. We got some things that me and you were talking about too. Obviously, that will.
This is gonna be exciting. I think we're gonna give people something really, really cool to like observe and watch.
Yeah,
and stuff.
dude,
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that we'll get to that.
100%.
You know what I mean? And we'll go public eventually.
Yeah, no, 1000%. And yeah, guys, like I said, stay tuned, guys. Habitual is on. Plug it really quick.
So you can watch Habitual and Oxy-Morons. What everybody should do that's watching this, download Darkroom Films or Darkroom Movies to your phone. Darkroom Movies. It's a streaming site and it's free. I'm a partner on it, and you can watch both my films, Oxy-Morons and Habitual, for free. And then there's a bunch of like other. My goal is to, the reason I brought up Last House on the Left instantly when you said that was to get that on there, because remember I said, where is it? Mm-hmm. So it isn't anywhere. So we're going to try to get that, license that for Darkroom. But there's a bunch of other like indie horror and crime and Alfred Hitchcock classics, anime stuff that's really popular if you're into that stuff. So there's all different stuff on there, and it's free. You download to your Apple phone, whatever thing. And you can watch both my movies there. And if you don't want to do that, Amazon, Apple TV, Google Play, on whatever cable platform you have, they're for rent on there. But
there you go.
They're out there. Find them, watch them. I appreciate it.
Check them out, guys. So there we go. And that'll be a wrap on episode 6 of Mass Appeal. Guys, stay tuned next week. Thank you.